Open up the bus doors. Hi. It's my school. Come on, load it up. 7:40 a.m. our day begins. Sunrise like smiles on all my friends.
Yo, it's Jesse here with the news thingy.
Hey, it's your girl Ken.
Filling in for Lillian Kennedy as Mad Dog.
Hey, Stella. And welcome to
BMS
BMS News.
Gosh, that was awful.
Anyways, welcome to BMS News.
You know, I don't think I'm ready for testing yet. I'm just kidding. I actually really like testing. What?
You know, I don't really know too much about the whole iReady test thing, shebang, madoodle, mabobber, and yeah.
I don't think many people do.
But you know who does? Mrs. Gross. So here's Haley Burns with her now, interviewing about the iReady tests.
Hi, Miss Gross.
Hi, Haley.
When you hear the word iReady, what are the first three words that you think of?
I think of immediate, personalized, and helpful. When you hear iReady, Haley, what do you think of?
I think of boring, long, and difficult.
I appreciate your honesty, and I'm sure you speak for a lot of students at Bunsold. But iReady is a helpful diagnostic tool. iReady is concerned with measuring learning as opposed to covering content. iReady pinpoints where students are, it measures growth, and it also predicts if students are on target to meet their end of the year goals.
How specifically does iReady benefit us students?
That's a great question. Now, I know you don't like sitting at a computer and reading long passages and answering questions, but do you like individualized attention?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever sat in a lesson where you were bored because you already knew that content?
Definitely.
Have you ever sat in a lesson where you were confused because you didn't know the content?
Yeah.
Right. With an assessment, with the data from iReady, teachers can improve instruction. They look at the data and they think, what's next for classroom instruction? And they can meet learners where they are. What have the students learned? What do they need to learn? And so it helps bridge that gap, and it just improves everyday instruction in the classroom.
My last question for you is, does the high school or the STEM school have to do iReady testing?
The high school does not use iReady. Actually, iReady, the content stops at 8th grade. But the high school does use a digital assessment tool. It's called Procore. The Marysville High School uses Procore. The early college does not, but there is talk that the early college might implement Procore next year.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Wow, that was really helpful. Thanks, Haley. Kennedy, what are you doing? Oh.
Jesse, wake up!
Huh?
Wasn't that interesting?
Not to me. No action.
What would we rather have reported?
I don't know, something with fighting and violence.
We probably can't do something like that, but we can interview Officer Delahunt about his new job at BMS as a resource officer. Here's Katie interviewing him now.
But wait, we can't cut to the interview yet. We haven't made a pun.
That's because cop puns aren't funny, so give it a rest.
Hey.
Please, no more puns.
Here's Katie with the main officer D.
Hi. How many years have you been a police officer?
So I've been with the Marysville Division of Police for 12 and a half years now. I started in 2005.
How many years have you worked at Bunsold and worked in schools?
So I started in the schools in 2007. I took over as the division's DARE officer. I've been at Bunsold off and on since it opened. I've been full-time in the schools now this is my second year. So prior to that, I would handle calls, and then I would go to Creekview for DARE, and if something happened at Bunsold, they would call me and I'd come out and handle it. Now my full-time role is in the schools. So.
What made you know, you wanted to be a police officer?
You know, I don't know what the one thing, there's not really one thing that did. I started out when I started in college, and I was studying engineering, and I found out that wasn't for me. So I started to look at other careers that I enjoyed, and one of the big things that I have always enjoyed is helping people out, helping people solve their problems. So this was an opportunity for me to get in, to enter a role where I'm able to really help people. That's probably the most important. Compassion and wanting to help people is probably the most important attribute I think a police officer can have. Yeah, that's what really led me to this career, I think.
Do you have any advice for kids thinking about their career pathways?
You know, my biggest piece of advice is to keep on the straight and narrow path. You know, things you do today, while they may not seem like a big deal, there are some things that you can do as a 7th and 8th grade student that can follow you the rest of your life. So my advice is be careful with that. Be careful with social media. Once stuff gets out there on social media, you can't take it back. You know, I like to say it's like mustard. Once it's out of the bottle, you can't put it back in. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Jack, filling in for Madison, who is filling in for Lillian.
Anyways, that was cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that segment.
I'm really glad Officer Dillahunt is here to teach us about his job.
Me too. Jesse, did that segment better fit your demands? Hey, I know what that means.
Yeah, it means much better in sign language.
I wish I knew sign language.
Yeah, it's pretty handy.
Hey!
I thought you said no more buns.
I just couldn't help myself.
Speaking of sign language, we have Abby Kay here interviewing Mrs. Collins about teaching sign language.
Hello.
Hello.
I would just like to say welcome to BMS and thank you for doing this interview.
You're welcome.
So the first question is, what made you interested in sign language?
My best friend's daughter, she was born deaf, and I have twin daughters around the same age. And when we found out that she was deaf, we started all learning to sign. And then as she grew up, I just continued with my education, graduated college with my degree, and here I am.
Awesome. So what kind of schooling did you have to go through to get to this field?
I had to go to Columbus State in Columbus for 2 years, and I graduated with a degree in sign language.
Cool. So how many years have you been a sign language interpreter?
Up to now, probably 18, 19 years.
Cool. So I know you're here working with Jordan, a 7th grader at BMS.
Yeah.
So how do you like that one-on-one interaction?
I like that one-on-one. It's good for him because he gets more attention, and then it's good for our relationship because I know him better. But it's hard also because I'm the only one out here. So it makes it hard for me.
Yeah, and the last question is, would you recommend students learning sign language?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's better for all the students to know because I never paid attention to deaf people until I started learning. And then when I started learning, I started seeing all these people. And I thought, oh, that's curious. And I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I started learning, I went to Canada. And we were under the waterfalls, you know, and we were waiting our turn. And this woman from England that was deaf just come barreling through all those people. And the people were getting mad. And another woman back there was yelling, "Stop her, she's deaf." And the first sign that you learn is wait. And so when I heard the woman yell to stop, I looked at this deaf woman and I said, and she understood me. And it didn't matter if she was from England or not.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it's like universal.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much for
You're
doing this
welcome,
interview.
you're welcome.
It was amazing. Thank you.
I really liked that one. I'm so glad she got a job at BMS.
Me too. I don't think we could have gotten to anyone better.
Dudes, I have a joke.
Oh no.
I don't
What?
even think I want to know.
I want to know.
How did the tree get on the internet?
Wow.
Don't ask.
They logged in.
That was bad even for you.
I actually liked that one.
Me too.
Speaking of computers, we have Grim interviewing Miss Seaman about computers.
So, as a lot of you guys know, there have been a lot of problems with our Chromebook connections and internet slowing down. So I wanted to ask Ms. Seaman a few questions and see if we couldn't get an answer out of it. So who can you get help from when your computer isn't working or the internet's slowing down?
So me, right? If you have any problems with your Chromebook, the first person that you would want to talk to is me. You come to the library, tell me what the problem is. I would say maybe 75% of the time I'm able to fix it myself. If not, then I send it to the tech department, which is located in the STEM building, and they'll come and I'll give you a loaner, and they'll come and get it and fix it, and then we'll switch them out.
All right. And what are the most frequent problems you get with students' Chromebooks?
So recently we've had a lot of issues with connection, not being able to connect to the Wi-Fi. That's been a real problem. One thing to keep in mind is that there's 859 of you in this building, and you all have the same Chromebook, and you're all connecting to the same Wi-Fi, so that tends to have some issues.
Yep. And what's happening with the connection at the times when our Chromebooks aren't working?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just that there's so many of you connected at the same time. One thing to also keep in mind is you guys close your Chromebooks, and that just puts them to sleep. Every once in a while, they actually need shut down all the way. So signing out, shutting down, and then closing them, that allows them to kind of, any updates that need pushed through, any bug fixes that need done, completely shutting it down allows those things to happen.
All right. And what are some other problems students have with their Chromebooks?
I would say the other biggest problem I have right now is cracked screens. Because they are touchscreen, they're very sensitive. So you need to make sure that you're always keeping it in the case and that you're carrying it properly, not swinging it around. Don't store pencils or papers or anything in your case. Any type of pressure on that screen will crack it. It is a $100 fix. So if you don't have insurance, it's pretty pricey.
Yeah. And what is something, like with your knowledge, that you would always want other students to remember about their Chromebooks?
I think the biggest thing to remember is that you guys need to be responsible for them. You guys are in middle school. You need to show that responsibility that you can take care of something like this. Always bring it to school every day, fully charged, in its case. Don't bring your chargers to school. Just be responsible and show us that you can do that.
All right. Well, thank you for your time and your answers.
Thank you.
Hey, it's John Boy, filling in for Jack, filling in for Madison, filling in for Lillian.
That segment was okay, but still no action.
I like that one. It was very cool to learn about computers.
Me too. Stella,
What?
what did you think?
Just wish there was more action.
But guys, guess what?
What?
I honestly don't care.
This is our last scene of BMS News. We did so good.
You're right, I completely forgot. I guess that's why we need to sign off in a special way.
Duh.
But how?
How about, okay, bye.
Bye!
Bye.
Bye. I hope you enjoyed this episode of BMS News.
Open up the bus doors, high. It's my school, come on, load it up. 7:40 a.m. our day begins.